Alrighty, folks, we have Will Cabral here, and today is another interview with one of our clients at agentattraction.io. So I've got a series of questions for you, Will. Particularly, these questions are really for folks that are interested, they're on that fence to working with us, and I just think that it'd be much better doing an interview like this, as you can answer everything in detail. Yeah, we'll go from there. So, Will, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how'd you find out about us, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I think the simplest way I can explain myself for anybody watching is that I'm in the residential space. So we started our real estate career, or me and my business partner started in 2020. Like the month COVID happened, that's when we got our license and started running. Prior to that, I was in a marketing agency. I didn't run an agency, but I worked in one. So I got to see what that was like. And that gave me a really unique perspective in real estate, where when I came in, I took everything that I learned there and kind of scaled really quickly with online leads. So at some point, I had the idea of doing kind of a real estate marketing for other realtors because people were asking us, and I just didn't have the time to. And then eventually I did. And I didn't really know how to structure things. I had some experience from my previous agency job, but I wanted to see, what are other people doing? And then that's when Prav was showing up on my feed. I got connected with him, really saw what he had built, and I felt like this would have been a perfect mentor for me to kind of start my journey. And then, yeah, the rest is history. We've kind of stuck together since then. I've learned a lot from you and the team. And yeah, that's kind of my story. I'm a real estate marketer, if I summarize it.
Definitely. I think yeah, when you started out, you did work at an agency, but then you started, I think your partner was licensed at the time, right? And then you also got licensed afterwards.
Yeah, he was licensed for a few months already, and then at my old agency job, we were going through an acquisition. COVID happened, things got crazy, and then he kind of poached me in a way. He was really good at sales and said, "Let's work together." And then I said yes.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. Yeah, so I think when you had got started, did you ever consider anything about agent attraction? Um, or were you just trying to sell like a digital product type of thing? Were you just trying to, really scale up the revenue?
Yeah, I didn't care about it at all. In fact, I was at Royal LePage, and the only reason I found out about cloud brokerages is because as I was talking to realtors every single day, they would, bring the idea to me until eventually it reached the surface and I recognized, wow, I made the wrong decision. I should have done this when I started in real estate 2 years ago. So it wasn't on the radar at all. But then once I understood the model and how it worked, I said, okay, this is inevitable. This intervenes with everything so perfectly. It's an additional revenue stream. It's how I can monetize my support structure. So it was a no-brainer to do it afterwards. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I know right now it's like really competitive with agent attraction and like I think that before that you started sort of selling all the digital products and everything, were you also seeing and having a lot of difficulty with it being super competitive? Something you experienced?
You know what? I I think for me, I had a unique advantage because I was a case study in myself where even to this day, I think the word attraction is such a good word because that's just generally what we do is I don't go out there and push as much as some other people do, but as a testimonial from our clients' success, all the people that we work with and our own success, we get a lot of attention that way. So I'm not sure if that answered the question, but it's something that just came naturally through working with you and building our product out, to be honest.
100%. I think I also interviewed another client who is Sammy. He said something very similar. He's like, he actually never really, like, I don't know if you really did this, but like, he never really reached out to anyone and people just reached out to him, like in his community. Because he was like getting him all these results, and then someone's like, dude, how can I work with you at a deeper level? And then he decided as well, like he's gonna form local teams. That's why he moved to Ontario, and he's gonna convert a lot of the people that bought his program into team members. But we'll try to get into a little bit at the end. Now, I know you guys are crushing it right now in terms of the digital product and sales. So to walk me through the ramp up period. So like, of course, was it pretty straightforward for you? And on top of that, like, what was the MRR, like monthly revenue in general? I know you guys have some MRR, monthly recurring, because I think you guys are charging the agents monthly for the CRM fee, but walk us through the whole like revenue standpoint. Like, how fast was that? Where do you guys scale up to and all that sweet stuff?
Yeah. So I think that's actually a great thing to talk about because a lot of agents who want to get into attraction specifically, it's this weird, I call it like the leap of faith that you need to make because you have a residential business that's taking up all your time. You see this lucrative opportunity where you can go ahead and do similar work, but it's very hard to let go of one or the other. Um, my advice for everyone is, keep your expenses as low as possible on the residential side as you can. And then that ramping period for us, in terms of the digital product, we saw results really quickly. And I think it's because I know sales, right? Once again, coming from residential real estate, when you know sales, you can take care of that. We started selling our products fairly low. We've increased price almost double since we started, but we saw revenue that could replace the residential business within the first 3 months. Um, Keep in mind, though, I had a business partner, so I could take care of that aspect of the business where I did it and it replaced the revenue, and I could bring him in. Um, so it took us about 3 months to really see things. And keeping in mind, once again, I have the marketing background. For some people, that might take a little bit longer. And for some people, it might be even shorter. I meet people nowadays where I think I'm young, but I'm forgetting that I'm turning 27 soon. But there's guys who jump into this industry at 22, 23. They know things better than me. They can make that happen really, really quick. So the ramp up period, I'd say give it 3 months if you're doing really good work. Yeah.
100%. And I think in that ramp up period for you particularly, like what was the revenue ramp up? Because one thing is like, you can go and start selling digital products and you can probably have like that first 10K month. So as I think most people when they start, you guys are running ads particularly, but like some people will sort of reach out of this fear and everything. But like obviously we recommend running ads, cold audience. What was that like in the first 1, 2, 3 months? Like, how was that for you? Like, how fast do you make your money back? And then what was like the revenue in terms of monthly ramp up? Like 20K on 30K a month. What was that like?
Yeah, because in the first month, that's when I got my one first sale, and then that was almost $10,000. So, depending on what program someone's investing in, that typically can cover the cost if it's just one or two sales. So you'll get your return almost instantly, providing you do the work correctly. And then after that, it went from, two clients to three clients. So for me, because it was just me in the beginning, I would say the monthly revenues were, the 8,000, then 15, then 20, then 30. And I kind of lurked around that 30 to 50 for a good year until I really cracked how to do sales and kind of building a team and management. And that's when it's like a hockey stick where it just all of a sudden goes up like crazy. And I think that's the thing. And anybody in residential real estate would understand this as well too, is that you as a solo agent, you can only make so much money by yourself. If you look at some of the big teams across Canada, the ones who are doing all the numbers, it's because it's not one agent, it's two, three, four, five, sometimes 36 agents. So at some point, if you want to make those ridiculously high numbers, you have to learn how to be a leader. That's kind of what I learned in the process. But yeah, in terms of numbers, I'd say in the beginning, yeah, making 10K a month online. I think I saw you make a post about this the other day, Prab. It's kind of just like the bare minimum, right? Like 100K is the new 10K. It's 2024. There's so much tools out there. Uh, not to say anybody has disadvantages, but I think there's a lot of opportunity out there.
100%. And like, so what was like your biggest month so far in terms of like cash collected and revenue sold?
Yeah, biggest revenue month so far, I was actually checking this morning, was 189,000. And then biggest cash collection month, we've done it 2 months in a row, was 103,000 in terms of cash collected. So 6-figure months, 7-figure year business, all online and remote. So it's pretty life-changing compared to real estate.
I love that. I love that, man. And now the question that really everyone wants to also know as well is like, so um you never really attended to even attract agents initially because you didn't know the whole impact behind it. But like you guys did attract quite a few people just from this model and alone. So walk us through that. Like how was the agent attraction process in general when you use this digital product?
Yeah, so we had moved to EXP, I'd say probably 4 to 5 months after we started selling our digital product. And it wasn't because we wanted to even attract people at the time. It was just because we were building a residential team and it was a more financially advantageous brokerage to be with. No other reason other than it was just going to save us about 2,500 a month. That's honestly the only reason. And then we started having people within our digital product community reach out about EXP. They say, hey, I see you're the EXP. What does that do? And I'm not going to ignore them. I'm going to say, well, yeah, this is why we moved it. There's also this whole model here with revenue share. That's how it works. And they were saying, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know this existed. And this just kept happening and happening and happening, where I had a conversation with my business partner and say, we should probably create some type of offer to incentivize them to join because, I mean, we know how the model works. We're helping them already. They're just paying us an upfront fee. Why don't we create a scenario where we can also help them, but maybe they don't have to pay that upfront fee? And then I even saw it with teams. Like right now, I actually avoid working with teams and broker. Well, I shouldn't say teams, specifically brokerages within our digital product because it ironically creates a conflict of interest. And I hope
Mhm.
this can be really entertaining for anybody watching this going to the attraction route is that if you are actually really, really good at helping agents, and I mean, you know how to build a product that can support them, what's ironically going to happen is you're going to give them more support than their brokerage does. Because the truth about the real estate industry right now is that most brokerages do not give support to the level that people want them to. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. It's going to be like that for a little while. And when they see your product and they can find out that they can get access to it at a far less cost than what these brokerages are charging, that's where this big mindset shift happens. And they start to think, okay, so I can go here, get this extremely high level of support structure that isn't available anywhere else in the industry for a lower cost. And it just becomes a business decision where you don't have to. This is what I mean by being attractive is that if you actually have a good product that serves people in a way that benefits them, you don't even have to attract them. Just by doing what you do, good word spreads. And that's the best way to market is build a product that brings people to you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's because I was reading a book last night too, Influenced by Robert Cialdini. Talks about this as well. Like, just like reciprocal altruism, like, you give people come and they'll start asking you. But I think that's what's happened not only for you, but other clients too. Like I have a couple more interviews scheduled and I've seen a common theme, which is like there's not even an actual, we'll talk about this a little bit in the next 5 or so minutes, but like a funnel on the back end to siphon people and attract them into your organization. People just reaching out. And you know, have you also seen that, because you're running ads and I've seen your ads all over the internet, like, of course you appear like this larger than life figure and everyone's seeing you, right? And they're seeing your face multiple times a day sometimes. Have you just had people reach out to you and reach out about EXP or partnership or sponsorship without even buying your digital product? Have you ever had instances like that or no?
All the time. Yeah. Even the agents that we recruit onto our residential team, sometimes they see my ads. Um, I had these weird scenarios where the other day I was in the grocery store and a realtor saw me too, and he's like, "Hey, I see your ads in places," and I have this weird celebrity effect once you start spending enough money in a specific area. So yeah, not just people who want to buy the product, people who want to join EXP, people who want to get their residential license, people who want to join my team. Um, and yeah, we could talk about branding for hours, but it's a big part of the attraction for sure.
Yeah, 100%. I think even Dan Kennedy says this too. He says the best way to brand is through direct response, right? Because then you're sort of getting paid to brand. Now, a question about like the actual agent attraction. How many have you guys attracted to your organization from the digital product and the ads you guys run? What's that number been like ballpark?
Yeah, I think right after we have this next person, it's going to be 35 is how much I brought in. How many have stayed? Of course, we've had a really high retention rate as well too. That's one thing I think everybody should always remember is that the attraction is a huge part of it, but building that good product and keeping people to retain is another big part of the equation. But yeah, to answer your question, I'd say we're at 35 right now.
Love it, love it. And you have seen like typically these people that are coming in through the digital product, particularly, they're a little bit more motivated. They're just in general want, like, they're not like the typical agent that just has a license and they're doing this part-time. They don't really want to close deals, but they're actual like people that are type of people that you want as well, right? The people that actually have a chance at FLQA and really are going to produce. Like these are the type of people that are start bringing in.
Oh, 100%. And I would say that a big part of attraction is if you really want to go into engineering a funnel for attraction, having a digital product on the front end is such a great way to build like a almost like a boot camp prior to getting somebody into residential real estate, where a lot of people attract and they just bring in anyone, right? Because it looks great on the numbers. But if you have a product on the front end that actually serves them, it's like you get a chance to mold them as best as you can into that realtor that they want to become. And then when they join you, it's even better because now they're fully indoctrinated. They're great at real estate. They're going to stay. They're going to make a lot of money with you. It's better for everyone, I think, when you have a digital product in the front end.
100%. I think also like I heard I think Sammy talks about this as well in his interviews. Like when people come to your calls, and I think you have salespeople now, right? When let's say I'm an agent, I come to your call, I see your ads, I really want to work with you, but for some reason, I just don't have the money to come and to take the jump and work with you and buy a product. So is that another natural way for you guys as well to attract? And you guys say, hey, look, I understand you're not able to jump on right now, but we have an exclusive offer for people that want to jump on, work with us for free. I can get you booked in with Will. Like, have you guys any people come like that as well?
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really great thing to do, I think, when you have that product is that product is ironically another funnel for attraction. Because if the person comes in and they don't, let's say, and of course it depends on what your product price is and you're offering, but if it just doesn't fit for them, you can always offer whether you're giving them the same product or maybe a little bit different, because ours is a little bit different where it's more done with you as opposed to our paid product, which is just white glove service. But you can give them a version of what you have at that cost. And it's, once again, it's a win-win scenario. You give them value and things that's going to benefit their career. And when they come and benefit their own career, then you get a piece of that back. So it's a win-win for everyone.
I love it. I love it. And so let's just say as well, like, because I think a lot of people always have questions, and I always recommend like selling the product always. Don't like just be like, hey, I'll give it to you for free if you join. There's a lot of issues with that, and I think particularly you don't get that investment, and the investment's what gonna get that commitment from them. But I think also from an economic standpoint, you can outspend everyone. But let's just say I'm an agent, I come on, I get some sort of results, and I'm like, okay, well, this is, I'm getting some sort of success. I may have not closed a deal yet, but what's that process look like on the back end when someone buys, and how soon do you try to attract them? Or even if you are trying to attract them, like, what's that process look like on the back end for agent attraction?
Yeah. So the way I run my offer, and of course everyone has their own opinion, is I really actually try not to put anything about attracting in our community. And it's out of respect for all the people in there with different brokerages who just aren't going to change. Because I get it. I think there are some people in this industry where it just doesn't make sense for them to change because maybe they're at the end of their career or it's just such a big logistical move where it doesn't make financial sense. So I don't actually push a lot of things on the front end. But what I will do is I have a lot of support calls every single week, and inevitably that conversation comes up from other people in there. I think I never actually thought about this question until you just asked me right now. But if I were to answer that, it's just the culture of our community. What I've built at Book More Showings is a community where people are kind of intervene with each other, talking. We have some people in there who are raving fans. It still boggles my mind to this day where they just tell everybody about us. And then these are the same people who will go around and talk about EXP. So I do think there's room for me specifically in our business where I can make it a little more attractive. Maybe that's the limiting belief that I have in my own head. Um, but I really am going from that product-led approach where people who just naturally will learn about cloud brokerages see what we're doing at BMS and think they just put two and two together, and it's almost like a covert sale, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, so basically, like you guys just having sort of people raise their hand, and like I would recommend as well, like putting like a back end program, and then having that like 2x the price, 2x the time frame, and then getting some sort of CSM, client success manager process in there. And also like the client success managers as well, like you can just have them as licensed agents. I think with EXP they have the new rev share model, which does work in your favor, but like getting them to reach out and sort of also they'll also be incentivized, but like just be like, hey, like look, you seem like you'd be a good fit for our this program. We help you hire VAs and really outsource everything, or whatever it is, the back end program, right? And like, hey, since you've had success so far, would you like for me to give you a couple options of how you can do this, right? And then you can lay out the options, and one of the options could be getting it for free by partnering up, right? So, and then also like since there's already value there, it's much easier to sell. I always take it from a business lens, but it's much easier to sell someone's already a customer into a different product, and that product could very much be just your sponsorship. So That's awesome. Um, Now, I think the other question as well is I think a lot of people, they worry so much on I only want to attract and bring in people that are only FLQA, but I would argue that, you got to solve problems in the right sequence. So you got to fill the calendars first, get the agents, and then get, a proper machine that brings in folks. And then you can train up those people to be FLQA, or you can just pick and choose, but you have the luxury because there's an abundance. Um, What's your thoughts on that? Like the whole, you know, uh, the attracting people that are really just FLQA and just want to make sure that, they're trying to bring in all these people that are just fitting that mold. Like, what's your thoughts on that? Do you think you also solve problems in the right sequence?
Yeah, I think I was ranting a little about this on my story yesterday, is that there's a lot of people who go into business and they focus on the absolute worst things first, right? And this is something I actually communicated a lot with you and Jazz and everyone at the team. And I learned it with my mentorship with you, is that, if you take marketing, product, and sales, a lot of the times people will jumble this around and focus on things that just absolutely don't matter. To answer your question, I think that's a little silly. I think you should just honestly focus on two things, which is build a product that's beneficial to people, which is relatively easy because there's a lot of great content out there, things that you can restructure, and really focus on building that funnel of marketing, make sure it works, and make sure your sales works as well too. Because I've sat in conversations with people in EXP, and there's a lot of people who get into EXP and they don't know how to sell, right?
Hmm.
And I find that's going to be the worst bottleneck ever, because you're here and you can get a lot of people's attention, but you can't convey them the value. You can't understand their pain points and kind of tie things back and forth. So I think that's honestly, I disagree with that completely. I think you should bring in people, make them all successful. And then the ones who want to be winners and go into that FLQA style and bring in a lot of people, they will raise their hands and ask you for that. Because that's not something you can force onto someone. That's something that somebody really wants to do because it's not easy. That's the way I think about it.
100%. And I always like to ask this question. I know we've got about 5 minutes left, but like a lot of people, two questions really. When they come on, they start comparing themselves to the big real estate coaches out there, the Tom Ferry, Craig Proctor, all the big names. And, um, you know, did you also have that doubt coming in? Like, okay, maybe I can't be that person. And was that doubt pretty much, it seems like now it's already gone. Is that something what are your thoughts on that? Like people that come in and like, they really have that internal belief that maybe I can't do it, right? I don't think I am that person. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that's completely normal. I felt that 1000% all the time when I was running coaching calls and people were looking to me for help. I remember the first time I went inside of a brokerage and talked in front of 42 people and eventually became 400 people. And the first time I was wondering, I'm a third of the age of everybody here, and here I am teaching them how to do their business, right? So imposter syndrome is 100% normal. And I think anyone diving into this industry, remind yourself that you are in something that is so niche right now. Like this intersection of online digital education products with the residential real estate. Like this is the first time in history that this has ever been kind of crossing over. So everything should feel uncomfortable. Everything should feel like what you're doing is you don't know what's going to happen because this is unexplored territory. And if that's too scary for you, you got to decide, what do you want? Do you want to level up and go into that area, or would you prefer to stay with what you have currently and do what's kind of status quo? So I would say if you feel that, embrace it. That's normal. I felt it. Anybody else who's in this space is feeling it right now. The only difference between these massive coaches and people with big downlines is that they do it anyways, despite feeling the fear.
Yeah.
So that's my big advice,
And
is just do it.
it's just about being one chapter ahead. And like, even myself, perfect example, like I was like a 19-year-old kid, had like 30 agents on a coaching call. I was like, what am I doing? Right. So, but at the end of the day, like if you could deliver value, I was delivering value in a specific thing that I was skilled at. And that's the most important thing, right? Last question, and then we'll sort of wrap it up. I know you got like 2 or 3 minutes here.
I'm good. Yeah.
Um, I know a lot of people, they start thinking like, oh, I don't think I have time for this right now. I really want to do it. I want to first fix up my residential side. I want to do the closings. I want to hire someone. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I think a lot of people hold themselves back from like this just because they think they don't have time. What are your thoughts on that? Because, from and I've seen all the clients, like it doesn't take too long to set everything up. And I think when you came on as a pure done with you program, now it's a done for you solution. But like, tell us a little bit more about that. Like, help us some of the people watching right now about the whole timing thing.
Yeah, anybody in residential real estate knows that this is an industry that your life will fly by in because you are working 10, 12, 16-hour days sometimes. If you don't make time for it, it will never happen. It's, I think somebody told me before, it's kind of like the whole thing when people say, oh, am I ready for kids? Well, the truth is you'll never be ready for kids. The fact is you just have kids and you figure it out. And I would say it's the same thing for attraction, which is that if you genuinely want to pursue this career, you have to start now, and there's no better time than now. I think, I know this isn't part of your question, but a lot of people will kind of trick themselves and say that, oh, this is saturated, this is that. It's such a lie. Like if you just mathematically go look at the numbers and the amount of people that are in these cloud brokerages versus how many realtors there are in North America and really the world, you're going to recognize that like we haven't even scratched the surface yet of what's possible in this industry. And I think right now, the beautiful thing about this industry, it's so blue ocean. There's no competition out there. If you do something even just borderline okay, that is better than what 99% of these brokers are offering. That's the truth, right? And people don't want to accept that, and they think it's difficult, but it's you need to make the time for the changes that you want to make. If you don't make the time, you don't get those changes. It's that simple.
100%. Yeah, I mean, you got to put time right now to buy back more time because I think everyone really wants time, spending time with their family and everything. And what's gonna change if they don't take the action? All right, man. Well, this is great. I think a lot of people that watch this got pretty much a lot of the questions answered. Um, what is like your one big tip before we end it off, for anyone that's sort of on the fence? Like, what would you tell them? Like, words of wisdom from yourself.
Yeah, when you feel that fear, when you feel that emotion of kind of hesitancy and doubt, everything you want in life is on the other side of that. So when you're talking with people and you have these opportunities that are presented to you to go do something, go do it. Because and I know a lot of people are going to watch this because I get contacts from people all the time asking about working with Prab. I will single-handedly say that me joining Prab was probably one of the best financial decisions I've made my entire life. Because me building Book More Showings into what it did has literally changed everything about our business, and not just my business, but the people on my team, my business partner, the people that we employ, that are our managers. All of this would not have been possible if on that day when I had to choose, like, do I, because I literally second doubted. I went to my business partner and said, should I invest this? Should I do this? I I I get scared thinking what would have happened to me if I did not do it. And you should really look at your life in the same way when it comes to anything, pursuing opportunities, attraction. What's going to happen if you don't do it? So that's what I would leave for my advice is don't be afraid.
I love it. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Will. Thank you so much, Will. Where can people find you? If they want to reach out to work with bookmoreshowings.com, is that really what it is? Bookmoreshowings.com?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Will Cabral, WILLKABRALL. And then, yeah, bookmoreshowings.com. You'll find anything you need to know about me on those two sites.
I love it. Awesome, Will. Thank you so much. And we'll see you soon. See you.
Thanks, Brad.